Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm letting everybody in. If you can hear me, go ahead and just in the chat, can you just say where you are calling from today? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask that everyone in the chat box say where you're from. So Sean, is that right? Give me a thumbs up. Did I say your name right? It's from Malaysia. So just go ahead and write it in the chat box. And Michelle, I see you also are from the Philippines, so you can write the Philippines and make sure you can hear me because I'm talking right now. If you can't hear me, check your settings. I'm going to give everyone a minute to come in. Okay, so Malaysia, Philippines. Oh, lots from Malaysia today and the Philippines. So you'll see me looking down. I'm looking at my chat box here. Let's put it right here. Just going to mute everyone for our convenience. We only have an hour together today, maybe even less. So I want to keep our momentum going. Okay, should we start? Okay, make sure you have your tea or your water because we're going to be moving really fast today. I've got a lot to cover. And if you have any questions at the very end, I will definitely save time for us. So we have time for questions. So I'm just looking to see where everybody's from. India. Is that Anita? Hold on. Anita from India. Hi. Sujata from Malaysia. Hello. Mitch from the Philippines. Hello. Still got a lot of people coming in. Michelle, are you able to let people in? Do you have access to that? Okay, next time. Maybe for the next one. Hello and welcome. We're just getting started. Make sure you can hear me. In the chat box, can you tell us where you're from? You're just now joining us. And I think I'm going to get us started. Okay. Nice to meet you. Let's see. Jaya Mary, and Kalyani from Turkey. Hi from Turkey. Hi. So I've done these before, and usually we have 2 or 3 or 4 or more people coming in late. And so you'll be hearing, I don't know if you can hear the when somebody comes in, and I'll be letting them in and maybe saying hello to them really quick. But otherwise, I'll just get started. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them towards the end. Okay. So let's jump on in and get started. Okay, this workshop is for you. You're going to get a lot of value today. If you're an educator, if you are a parent, if you're a struggling reader, and also if you're a teaching team. Teaching teams really get a lot of value out of working together, doing these workshops and collaborating afterwards. Okay, if you're I happen to get a lot of expats in these workshops and some home and world schoolers. So if that's you, welcome. Hello, if you're just joining us. We are just getting started, so you're just in time. Okay, we are gathered here for a solid purpose today to help our struggling readers. And 3 of the main reasons us as parents and as educators struggle to reach our struggling readers are consistency. Consistency is one, how often we practice with them in a systematic way. Sometimes we only get once a week. Sometimes we get twice a week. Sometimes there's holidays and school breaks and so many reasons why that consistency gets broken up. So that's one issue that we have to deal with. Number two is the right data. Are we able to collect, do we have the right data? Are we able to look at their present level of performance? Where are they right now? Are we collecting, are you collecting up-to-date, comprehensive, regular updates to make sure that your lesson planning is exactly where the reader truly is at? So that's the second problem that we have as educators and parents. And number three is tools. You have the right tools for readers when they're young, and you have the curriculum. They're showing growth. They're on grade level. Everything is progressing just right. And then you start to notice that they are not keeping up with their peers, their grade level peers. And that's when they start showing gaps in our curriculum and our lesson planning and our assessment and our tools all fall apart when they're older and they're struggling. Okay. So in the chat right now, will you please put either tools, data, or consistency? Are you struggling with any of these three pieces? Right there. Go ahead and in the chat. For me, I started struggling with the data, but I've gotten really good at that. Consistency is really still a struggle for me as an educator and a parent, is making sure it's consistent. How about you? Tools and consistent, and maybe, yeah, there's a couple of them. Tools, yeah, it's hard when they're older and you don't have that curriculum at your fingertips like you do when they're little. You have that cute and fun stuff, right? Okay. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Okay, so thank you for coming today. I just wanted to quickly say thank you. I am so grateful that you're here today. And I do want to ask that if you have a pencil and a paper or some tool to write with, because we're going to be moving fast and there's going to be a lot of content, I don't want you to forget it. And we only have an hour together, so we'll be moving fast. So silence your phones, warm up your tea, make sure you're ready, and off we go. I am gonna give you as much as possible as I can in the 60 minutes that we have together. And there's so much more I want to share with you that we just don't have time to hit on it today, on everything that we want. So if you choose to stick around till the end, I'm going to give you more ways to get help at the very end with a free gift. Who doesn't like a free gift, right? So stick around. I want to start with us kind of envisioning that struggling reader we have in mind. And maybe you have more than one, and maybe you just have one. So I'd like for you to start just by looking at these boxes here. You have comprehension here, over here, and then you have word skill, word attack skills, fluency over here. Some readers have low comprehension and low fluency. And that just means that they are more than 2 years behind, maybe, as an older struggling reader. They are slow readers. They have low stamina. They're robotic when they read, right? They sound like a robot, that sort of thing. And they're just completely struggling. Then you have readers that are over here that they're looking great, but they're in last place. And that just means that they have high word recognition, but low comprehension. So for example, you listen to them read and they sound beautiful. But if you ask them what they read, they don't know what they read, or they say, well, this just happened to me last night. I was talking to a reader who just read a little bit, and I said, well, what was it about? And they said, nothing. So that's the looking great. They sound great, but they're in last place. Okay. You also have the readers that have low comprehension, but very high. They have very low comprehension, but very high word attack skills. Okay. So maybe they listen to an audiobook, or maybe you're reading to them and you have these deep conversations with them and they love it, but they themselves aren't able to read that text. Okay. So in the chat box, I'm keeping you guys busy today, and welcome if you're just joining us. We just got started. We haven't even got to the lesson plans yet, so you're just in time. Think of a reader that you kind of want to have in your mind as we move through our work today. Okay, you have these falling down readers, off course and lost readers, and then the looking great but in last place readers. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, what if is the big question here. The bottom line is, as you think about your struggling reader, what if they were making gains regularly? Isn't that why we're here today? Is that's what we want to see for our readers? What if they could read, right? That's just the base question. What if they could read? What if they could do it? Now, what if us as educators and parents have a plan in place, at least 30 minutes a day without scrambling and searching the internet for strategies and tools, not even sure if they'll work, right? I like to call that throwing spaghetti at the wall, where you're just throwing strategies and hoping one will stick. So our goal is, what if this plan that we create today can lead to greater understanding and better grades? And from there, what? Right? Self-confidence, soaring self-confidence, and maybe even down the line when our readers are out on their own, they're getting better jobs and they're making better money. And research does support that. Readers, people who don't read, make less, right? Their quality of life is different. So that's why we are here today. We're gathered to explore a solution that'll do just that. So our goal is, what if we could get them here across the finish line? Can you see my little blue cursor? Across the finish line. We want them to have good comprehension. The goal of our lesson planning is around great word recognition, high stamina, sounding natural, slow and fast, being able to change your pace as you read, self-correcting, all of those things that good readers do. I like my quotes. You'll see lots of quotes today. Education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Yes, I love Nelson Mandela. Okay. You gotta love this. What does the academic experience of an older struggling reader and us as educators and parents look like? Where do we start? So teachers and parents, right? We are searching and finding all this information. We have YouTube, we have AI. You can type anything into AI these days. How can you help a reader who doesn't know their sounds? You could type in a question like that and you can get so many great ideas. It's great information, but is it the right information for that struggling reader? And the answer is no. I know as a parent, especially through COVID, I've bought a lot of different online courses for my kids, and I've done that and then it wasn't the right information. It wasn't what they needed. And I know there's a lot of that out there. And I don't know about you. Give me a thumbs up if you've done that too. You've found something and you've tried it and it wasn't as effective as you had hoped it would be. Let's get a thumbs up in the chat box if that might have been you as a parent or an educator. Young readers, kindergarten and first grade, second grade, they get reading instruction that is cute and it's fun and it's curriculum that's built specifically for little kids. And it teaches phonics and it teaches how to read and it does the natural practicing of those beginning reading skills, right? But after third grade, this reading instruction changes and more robust reading skills are needed. Reading for older readers is no longer focused on phonetic structured teaching the way it used to be when they were younger. After third and fourth grade, reading is about applying and analyzing the meaning around the text. Reading helps understand concepts for math and for science. It's no longer, this is how to read. And this is frustrating for an older struggling reader who is still trying to sound out and read those basic words. And because they're focused still on how to read, what happens? They miss the content. And so not only are they not reading, now they're behind in the content. They're not understanding the math and the science and all of those main ideas that their peers are gathering and using. Gaps begin to form, and this is where we want to catch them, okay? And oftentimes at home or at school, they aren't given time. They're not given that time to continue their practice of that word attacks, those word attack skills. So, oh, it's another quote. And this one's by me, actually. This is my quote. The more accurate the action steps, the more growth for the reader, because growth feels good and the right steps allow for growth, right? And reading happens faster. Okay. So today is all about you. And I'm really looking forward to diving into the topics I've got for you. But I want to give you just a little context about me and how I come to you as your host today. Is that okay? Give me a yes in the chat if that's okay. Yeah, thank you. Yes. I'm a private reading specialist. My name is Irene McCann-Braun, and I'm a private reading specialist and the founder of the Reading Wellness course. I work with educators, I work with teacher teams, and I work with parents. And of course, I work with the struggling readers. I co-develop diagnostic and prescriptive systematic lessons, plans that are built for the older struggling reader. I'm a certified teacher and I have a master's in reading curriculum development and a special education certification as well, including research-based, multi-sensory, evidence-based reading strategies, including Foundations. I don't know if you've heard of that. Foundations and Orton Gillingham style instruction. I've taught all over the globe, including here in Bali, Indonesia, where I am now, where I am practicing as a consultant. Okay, and why am I doing this today? Well, I've been in your shoes. My daughter is neurodiverse. She is was a struggling reader, but there you can see she's reading Keepers of the Lost City. So she has her favorite books. And as an educator globally out in different countries, there is a deficit in curriculum for students who struggle to read. So the good news today is I've been in enough of these webinars or workshops to know that people usually sell stuff. And all of my programs are application only. So you cannot buy from me even today if you wanted to. So I just wanted to put you at ease, just enjoy and learn. Take away as much as you can today. And I'll try to keep talking and give you as much as possible. Hello and welcome if you're just joining us. UNICEF has done some research and long-term consequences, just really quickly, and I know I mentioned this already today, struggling readers are at a higher risk of dropping out of school and facing unemployment and achieving lower income levels later in life. So this is another reason why I'm here today, is to address these reading difficulties. They're there, but how do we address them? It's crucial to make sure that we have the right lesson planning in place, so to give them the best opportunity possible, not leave them out, right? Okay, so jumping into the meat of this, the 3 Ds, and I'm going to go deeper into these, but just I want to introduce them to you. There's the daily framework, do the data, and then do a diagnostic lesson plan, and then rinse and repeat, right? I love these pictures. You've got these kids, they're all running, they're having a good time, they're all running at the same pace, and then one falls down. And what happens when he falls down? He's flat on his face. He gets up and everybody is ahead of him and he can't catch up. They're running, but he tries to catch up. Maybe he falls again. And it's very overwhelming and it's very frustrating. And then you have this little girl here and she is overwhelmed. Look at her. She's upside down. Her clothes are all over her room. It's really too much for her. And I love her face. So these are our readers. These are our struggling readers. They're falling down and all the readers around them are moving forward and they're overwhelmed, and this might be how they feel. And our goal through this lesson planning and collecting data is to get our readers looking like this runner right here. Look at her. It's a beautiful day. She's smiling. She's got it together. She's ready to go. So we, as educators and parents, need to give them the right tools. We need to give them the right shoes, the water bottle, everything that they need if they were running, but they're reading, everything that they need as readers, the right tools. You wouldn't want to give a runner goggles, right, for swimming. You have to give them the right tools. So this is our job. Let's do it. I'm going to take a quick drink. Okay, moving on. Using these 3 Ds has just been part of the educator's life, and you might do it now as an educator or a parent. Personally, I've been doing the data, doing the daily framework, the data, and doing the diagnostic lesson plan with these small groups of struggling readers. I've been doing it consistently, so I know it pretty well. And along with Vanda and Robert here, I've worked with them as well, targeting reading instruction using those 3 Ds that we're about to talk about. Okay, so exactly what students are we talking about? Because struggling readers, what does that mean? There could be so many of them. And why are they struggling too? So I just want to clarify really quickly this here. Let me open my pencil. I'm writing in there right now, so you should see me writing. And by the way, I am not a tech savant. So if there's anything techy that happens, that's just the way it goes, because I am an educator and a reading specialist, but sometimes my tech skills are not perfect. Okay. Okay, so 100% of the students start here. This is, for example, and I'm going to use a classroom for example. Everyone is in a whole group. The teacher teaches the instruction. Everybody gets it. They move on to the next lesson. Okay, 100%. There might be between 5 and 10% here who you notice are not getting it. So what might you do? You might have a small group. You might, I mean, you have so many ways of reaching these students, but you might put them in a small group. And from there, the students might go, okay, I get it. I understand now. Okay. From here, there are still those students who won't respond. And where do I get these numbers from? I just want to say it's from response to intervention, which is a framework, an educational framework to catch students before they fail. And you can, I can give you more information about that if you would like at the end. Okay, so 1 to 5% of your class won't respond when you give them a small group intervention. And so that might mean you might do some one-on-one with them. You might do more maybe pull out. Okay, you might do small groups. Who we are targeting today, when I talk about the lesson planning that we're doing today, I'm mainly focusing in this area right here. Maybe a little bit up here in the top, but pretty much in the middle. These are the students who struggle. The ones at the top here there's other reasons for their struggle. It could be dyslexia, and dyslexia can fall anywhere. But there could be some diagnostic medical need that our lesson planning may not be able to help them with, okay? So we're mainly looking at the very middle here. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Hopefully that makes sense for you. Perfect. Love it. Okay. UNICEF also gave us a statistic that I wanted to share with you. After COVID, only 1/3 of 10-year-olds can understand a simple written story. And before COVID, it was 52%, which is still pretty low. So our struggling readers, if we can catch them, even one, that would be pretty powerful. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here, right? Okay, step 1, do a daily framework. Do a daily framework. What does that mean? I've covered up the bottom boxes. We'll get to those later, but this fluency framework is the daily framework. So you have 3 days a week, at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, 8 to 12 weeks minimum to stick with the strategy, to stick with an action step. So this is an evidence-based framework. Just a minute, I'm having some tech difficulties here. So this is an evidence-based framework. This is the one that I was telling you that I used with Robert and Vanda and some other educators, just as an educator in school. And it's a based framework for small groups. So you're working with small groups, that 5 to 10%. This is used, and like I mentioned, response to intervention suggests these as the best evidence-based ways to reach a student. And we used this framework around COVID. We had one last meeting. We had one last meeting before all of the schools stopped. Everything stopped, everything closed down. You remember that time. And we tried to create a loose plan of how are we going to meet these students' needs. We didn't know Zoom yet, like we do now. And we had no real plan, right? There's no, how are we going to reach these students? And it was a real mess back then. We just didn't know what to do. But one thing was certain is we were going to have to meet with them at least 3 days a week, 20 to 30 minutes. We knew that consistency had to follow. And this I know is difficult in some systems, in some organizations. I was just talking with an educator who was only meeting with a student once a week. And that's just not enough, sadly. And this is what happens if you stick to that consistency. This is the growth. This framework, when I used it consistently and when educators use it consistently and parents use it consistently, will result in growth for that group of struggling readers. And I'll just let the data speak for itself. Oh, did you get a chance to see it? And even students diagnosed with dyslexia, they too will benefit from a student that I worked with here had so much growth 3 times a week. Now, 3 times is a minimum. You can do 4 times a week. You can do 5 times a week. You can do 7 times a week. But 3 times, I'm talking the minimum. And then 30 minutes. When they're one-on-one, things go faster. But when you have a group of 3 or 4 or 5, the 30 minutes probably will be more 45 minutes because you have more students. And then you don't want to quit too soon either. You might think this isn't working, but if you've only given it a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's not enough time. Got to give it more time. 8 weeks at the minimum. And here's how you know. Here's how you know how to change things up. How to change a strategy or an action step is to do the data. So the initial data that you want to start with a struggling reader, you should be assessing them, taking information at least every 2 weeks. But this here is something, it's a little bit bigger. You're gathering more information at the very beginning before you put into place a lesson plan, action steps. I worked in an expat school where kids came in all times of the year. They came in mid-year, end of the year, they also came. And sometimes they would come mid-year. This was especially hard when they were an older struggling reader coming with not much data. And one struggling reader I had, she was learning English and she rarely spoke. She was extremely quiet. Sometimes I'm sure that you've experienced this as well with the student, maybe. So I gathered everything I could, along with the team of educators I was working with, and we created her present level of performance. And that's what this is. It's a present level of performance. It's what she can do today. So we started here. And she started coming to the small group using that framework where we met we met 4 times a week for 45 minutes. She was in a small group and we supported her based on this data. This is how we started right here. So we started gathering. So this is the present level of her present level of performance, or plot, which is a fun name. So you want to start by collecting information to see, well, how is their fluency? If you can, do you have scores on reading assessments, spelling tests, all of those? Evidence of comprehension, written responses, writing samples, responses to questions after you read to them, detailed notes on just listening to them read and asking them questions. And then this is an important one that oftentimes gets left out. Find out their present level of performance with reading wellness or their health, their confidence. So you want to talk to other teachers who've worked with this student. You want to collect notes about their behaviors around reading. Do they show evidence of fight, flight, or freezing? And that just means, do they stare off into space when it's time to read? Do they say, I don't want to do it? Do they avoid reading? And parents probably see this more. So when you're doing this part of the assessment, talk to the parents because they know best. They can give you some really good information. Talk to them about how they feel about it. Just ask them, how do you feel about reading? What do the words look like when you're reading them? So this is really important. So this is an important piece to collect before doing a lesson plan. By the way, that reader I was telling you about who was very, very quiet, by the end of the year, we couldn't get her to stop talking. She talked a lot. And she was reading. That just showed she was confident. Her reading wellness was high. So that was good. Okay. And one quick note about data. Data has sort of not a nice sound to it, but we need it as parents and educators. We need it. Otherwise, our lesson plans aren't right. But we really need to be authentic, and we really need to truly listen to that struggling reader, because that will build the trust that you need to get to the bottom of it, right? That the student that I was telling you about who was really, really quiet, she wasn't quiet. She wasn't quiet at home, but she was quiet at school because she didn't have trust yet of anybody around her to try anything that she would fail at. And when we built that trust with her, built that relationship with her, things really moved fast. So it's really important to be authentic and truly listen, not just take data for numbers. Okay, step number 3, do a diagnostic daily plan. Now, this is where I would like to get you to do a little bit of work. Michelle, I want to send you a PDF. Let's see how well this works, everyone. I'm doing this a little bit different today. I'd like to give you a PDF. First of all, a diagnostic is a fancy way to say the daily plan is just based on their needs today. That's all it is. It's like a diagnosis from a doctor who then prescribes something, right? Some medicine or something. This daily plan is based on their current need, their current diagnosis. And us as teachers and parents will assess and create the lesson based on where the reader is in their current reading ability or their current reading understanding of concepts, and those concepts and skills are taught for mastery. right? And we have the freedom to change the direction of a lesson plan based on student performance. Once we create a lesson plan, it doesn't need to stick. It can change, especially after, give it 8 to 12 weeks if you put it into place. But also every 2 weeks, when you do see, wow, they know those sounds, I no longer have to do the flashcards for those sounds. Then you are fluid and you have the freedom to take those out and then get some new ones in. Okay. Okay. Let's dive into this. So here is the framework that we were working with earlier. But now I have the sequential, direct, and explicit 30 minutes in green laid out for you. So you have the warm-up review, sounds and the rules and the trick words. You have the new rule or skill, which I follow the framework I do, we do, they do. And then practice, hands-on, which is, and I'll go deeper into each of these green boxes. This whitish yellowish box over here is, I'm sure your reading program is more than 30 minutes. And this 30 minutes is for a small group. So I'm not going to have time to get into the yellowish box over there, but I just wanted to put it there so you know that there's more to this. This is just a sequential, direct, explicit piece for our struggling readers. Okay. I want you to do your daily lesson plan now. Can you check your email, everyone who's here today? Check your email. Oh, I see thank you, Michelle. In the chat box right now, there's a link where you can download this daily plan. It's more pretty. It's nicer than this one that you're looking at. But if you have it, I want you to have it so you can actually write into it. It's editable, which means you can write inside of it right now. And maybe by the end of today, you'll have a lesson plan started. I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and give me a thumbs up if you found it, if you've opened the link and you've got it. And if you don't, that's fine. I can send it after also. And I can send it after too. Okay, good. I see somebody's got it. Perfect. All right, good, good. So it's working. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, I'm going to assume everyone else is able to get it. But don't worry if you're not, I'll send it after also. So let's start together. So let's look at this daily lesson plan. Let me enlarge it. So let's look at this first 5 minutes. Now, there's all sorts of stuff in a lesson plan that you can put up here. The strategy you're working on, the skill that you're working on. Today, I'm just focusing on your small group. You have them for 30 minutes. They are struggling. So I want you to focus. Let's start with the first 5 minutes. So the first 5 minutes looks like this. You're going to review sounds and blends with them. I have had parents and educators say to me, I've had parents and educators and even struggling readers say to me, I know my sounds. Be careful when you hear that, because it's not always true with this group. They might know some letter sounds, but you have to know exactly what sounds they know and what sounds they don't know, or what. It's more than just an alphabetic sound. It's more than just a consonant or a vowel. They may know what the B sound makes or the T sound makes. How about vowel sounds? They make 2 sounds. If they don't know that, this is where you review. Blends and digraphs. So blends are like BL, like in the color black or blue, or blend. TR, like in truck, those are blends. Do they know their blends? Do they know their digraphs, which are like CH, TH, SH, like in ship? Do they know those? So you need to find out, go back to the data piece of it, find out what they know and what they don't know. And whatever they don't know, you can use flashcards. Remember, this is direct, this is explicit. So you can use flashcards. It's only for 5 minutes. Find out what they know. Then you're able to, next lesson, next time you meet with them, start reviewing with what they don't know. That's your first 5 minutes. So right now, give that a good think and maybe write some notes in this part of it. And if you only have a pencil and a piece of paper, you can take notes and maybe just put the first 5 minutes and then put sounds and blends that you want to cover with them. And by the way, some of us are on summer break. Some of us are not. Some of us are in winter. If you're down in Australia or New Zealand, not everybody's on a break right now, but some of you are. So you might be able to use this tomorrow. Okay, the next 10 minutes. So we did our first 5 minutes. So the next 10 minutes are putting the phonemes and the rules together. And this is just a fancy way to say, actually, I'm going to take notes here for you also. Sounding out words. Now I use Orton Gillingham foundation style of tapping. So if the word is cat, at, cat, can they put those phonemes together? Phoneme is just at, it's each sound. And can they follow the rules? Do they know what a closed syllable is? Do they know if there's 2 syllables, you tap out the first syllable first and then the second? What have you been teaching them about sounding out words that they need to review here explicitly? Because you're going to do it for them. I do, we do, you do. So for cat, I would model it at cat, and then we will do it together at cat. Now you do it, and then I would watch them do it. Okay, remember, these are for our struggling readers, not for our main giant group of readers. This might bore them, and we want them to love reading, right? Okay, so that you can do 5 words, you can do 10 words, you can do, it depends on how much you get, but you don't want to do it for too long. Okay. Okay, so that's 10 minutes. Then you have 15 minutes here. Now, in this part, you are going to want to get my pencil again. Okay. Practice reading sentences, practice reading naturally, practice writing the words and the sentences too. So you might want to have 2 or 3 sentences ready using the words and the sounds that they are reviewing right now and that they're learning. Any rule that you're teaching them, this is where you want to practice it within a sentence structure. So let me actually make this smaller. Hold on for a second. So over here in the corner, I have a example that you can see. Down at the bottom, you see the sentences. Did Jeff think that the tank was full? So I would read it to them. Then we would read it together. And then they would read it and you would listen to them read it. And here is just kind of an example of what can happen over time. So over here, I did an assessment, and over here, 4 weeks later, I did another assessment, and I mainly focused on self-correction. Self-correction is a skill where they go, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And then they sound out the word. And after a few weeks, I think it was about 4 weeks, you can see some improvement. You can see a lot of improvement, actually. So this is why every 2 weeks I do this. I look at their improvement, and they should be improving. If they're not, I need to tweak something. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, So that makes sense? Good. This is actually Sarah, and that was her son's work that I just showed. But they just moved to California and he's going to a different school now. But one thing that she said that I want to share with you that's not in this was he likes to pick up books. Like now he's picking up a book to read, which he never did before. So that's what we want, because the more they choose to read, the more practice they get and the better they get. Because our 30-minute lesson plan isn't going to make a difference if they're not actually picking up that book and practicing, right? So we want them to do that. Woo! All right. If you stuck with me, you deserve a free gift. Now, you have two choices. You can continue what you're doing now. And remember, I mentioned throwing spaghetti at the wall. That's what we're doing as educators and parents. We're trying to find something that works. And you can forget what I just told you, which I hope you don't. It's a whole hour of our time, and I hope that it was helpful. But it also means if you just continue to throw spaghetti at the wall, you will get the current results that you're getting now, and you're here to change that, right? So if you really want things to be different or to make a real change for the reader, which in turn is a change for ourselves, for a reader, and for your teaching team, for the family, one that results in real measured growth, then here is how I can help with the free gift. So I want to gift you now a specific and detailed rinse and repeat lesson plan that meets your struggling readers where they are, with clear action steps. And I know that we just went through it together, but that was just the tip of the iceberg. We're just scratching the surface. And there's so much more that goes into it that this free gift here is gonna teach you. So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to click on the link you see now. And I don't think that link is gonna work. Michelle, can you put the link to my calendar in the chat? And I'll also I'll send it via email too, but you'll see my calendar. You'll sign up for your free 45-minute personal strategy session, and we're going to plan it out. There it is. Thank you, Michelle. So it's in the chat right now. We're going to plan it out. And some teaching teams and educators and parents wanted to do the personal learning plop, the assessment, instead, to get to the lesson planning part of it. So that is something that we can do now during this free gift, during this free 45 minutes, this personal strategy session of yours, just one-on-one. Or if you want, I actually just met with a team maybe last week, and we met together. And the team actually worked in 2 different schools in 2 different countries. And so we met together. So that was great. That was really great. So click on that link now, go to my calendar, because education, I love quotes. Education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And that is why we're here. Okay. So now is the time. By the way, I do have limited spots in my calendar. As you'll see, I already see that one of the days is gone. So get in there. It's free. May as well. That's why you're here. With that said, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Write it in the chat box. I can also unmute you. And you can also, you're welcome. You can also let me know if you want to be unmuted, if you have a quick question. Wow, we did exactly 1 hour. Oh, I don't know about you, but most students I have do about 45 minutes. 1 hour is a long journey for us. We did, yeah, it's perfect timing though. I hope that it did help you. Yeah. You're welcome, Anita. No questions? I'm just going to stick around in case anybody wants to ask me anything. Maybe in the chat box, say I have a question or let me know. That link should work. You should be able to click on that. I'm looking down at my calendar. See lots signing up. You're welcome. Navanitham. Did I say that right? Navanitham. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And I really hope it helps. Okay, well, I'll stay for maybe 3 more minutes, see if anyone has a question. No questions. This is the first, I'll be honest. I have never been here where nobody's had a question, but that's okay. You still have my email, so you can email me if you have any questions. And you can book your strategy call and ask the question then. So no worries. Okay, I'm going to let everyone go. I know you guys are busy. I know you guys have things to do, so go, enjoy your day, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Take care.